everybody, LORDSHADOWFEST here. Making a video response to Nick Dutch in his video about curses, black evil magic, or whatever it was called. Hexes, curses, evil black magic. I like this video. I actually like a lot of your videos. I actually sub to you. I like this video very, very much. The problem though with this video, you mentioned there's a distinction between black and white magic.
No, I said there were different forms of perspectives. Okay, and I did point out that I did try and point out that different individuals had different forms of perspectives. I gave a very loose or a very weak interpretation in the fact that there could be illumination based, or just like the more sort of like tranquil, trying to do good for yourself and other people type states of mind, as opposed to very sick, twisted, perverted, messed up emotions which you might want to incorporate into some forms of activity. That is essentially what I was alluding to.
Then you also kind of break down the basics of what black and white magic is. It's evil.
That's roughly what I was talking about, yeah.
Or good, or the tent of the witches, whatever, blah blah blah.
I think you're actually reading into the video much more than I actually put there.
Then you actually admit you did something that was negative.
That's right, I did.
Which actually would fall into the category of black magic.
Yes, indeed it would. And from that particular experience and the apparent result which seemed to occur as a result of it, I was therefore able to extrapolate further from that as to what an extreme or possibly effective form of, in inverted commas, black magic would possibly be. But I felt that I can only say what I said on the basis of the experience in question, because most of my ideas are experience based.
But then you dismiss it like it doesn't really exist. It's because...
No, I obviously did not do that, because I've demonstrated a particular form of action which I actually did, and the apparent result which occurred. So I don't quite know where you're getting the idea that I said that it didn't exist. I pointed out that the states of minds that would be required in order to try and get some kind of result from hexing or cursing people, as some people call it, if it was taken to its logical conclusion, would in fact be incredibly dangerous to the individual doing it psychologically. And I feel that through rational extrapolation, through ideas such as neurogenesis and neuroplasticity, anyone would be able to divine that without necessarily needing to look into the subject too far.
Because it's all in the mind of the witch, whatever.
Well, things that are in your mind will affect your behavior, your thoughts, your feelings, your views, your attitude, your outlook upon life, and is therefore quite important. And it's therefore important for the individual to be aware of the quality of ideas that they're putting into their mind, or that they are receiving from external stimuli, such as the media, and indeed any form of theological activities that they're doing, and to take into account the kind of person that they would like to be. So you have to skillfully and artistically try and create for yourself the future of your dreams, so to speak, in terms of your character and your personality, through thought and reason, and then to apply your thought and reason to select the right things that you want to do. So the right forms of literature, the right forms of media, the right forms of theological or meditation type exercises, and all the rest of that. It's a question of using your wisdom intelligently.
Now, the thing I don't understand...
Just one thing?
Is you give us a definition. You give us what a definition is. You basically have a generalization of what it actually is. But you dismiss it like it's not real.
Okay, now, did I actually turn around to you and say it's not real? No, I've been critical about people who use the phrase, "it works." Now, if you're someone who, as you say, has watched a lot of my videos, and I've got over 1,000 up there now, because this is over 3 years worth of work that's gone into all of my videos, you should know why I object to that phrase, because it is intellectually flawed. what I am not saying when I say that you shouldn't use the phrase "it works" is that there is no particular phenomena in question. Au contraire, you should be aware that I've actually made allusions to the fact, and indeed direct references to the fact, that I have a firm experiential and experimentation-based or personal experiential-based belief, for again want of a better word, that there is some form of universal omnipresent consciousness of which we are part, we are in it, and it is in us. And therefore, how on earth could you logically and rationally extrapolate to the point whereby I am turning round to you and I am saying that such phenomena do not exist? That's the question I would ask you.
My question to you is, why do you always dismiss things that you practice and teach?
Okay, I don't believe that I do dismiss what I practice and inverted commas teach. For instance, if I wanted to be dismissive, I would probably just be purely acting on the atheists' political camp. But I am not. There is obviously a reason for that, and that is that I do not dismiss the phenomenon. What I do dismiss, and what I do heavily reject, is the New Age or pagan equivalent of Bible literalism. Which is to say, oh yes, there are spirits around and we must be afraid of them. Or if you light a certain candle on a certain day of the week, boom, you will get your results 100% reliably. This creates an awful lot of problems with people's understanding of the subject, because it is a out-and-out lie, okay? There are people who come into the occult world, who come into the New Age world, because they've got serious problems that they want to have some kind of relief from. Whether these are very serious problems with having a husband and or wife who is beating them up, threatening them with kitchen knives, whether it's to do with a serious health problem, whether they're homeless, whether they're desperate to get some money together, and they come into this world because they want a solution. And there are all these people within this culture saying, it works, it works, it works. And hey presto, do they get the relief from their health problems? Do they get the relief from their the problems with their relationships, and so on and so forth? The short answer there is no. Now, you, Mr. Lord Shadowfest, would you please kindly tell me if you think your magic works, as in just as reliably as switching on a torch, a flashlight, okay? Then why don't all these problems go? You are the people who need to answer that question in great detail. But I personally am of the opinion that there's a great number of people who are heavily involved within the New Age world who essentially don't have the vocabulary or the ability to think to sufficient depth to be able to answer those questions. And so therefore I feel quite justified when I tell these people off for their stupidity.
Is it because so people don't hurt themselves? Or?
I think I've already explained within this particular video, it's not just a question of people hurting themselves, is it? It's a question of deception, and it's a question of taking all these wonderful people who are experimenters into what you would call the occult, or the supernatural, or psi phenomena, and painting them all as being complete losers. That's primarily because some of the more heavily outspoken members of what you might call the New Age community are in fact losers. Because they haven't done any thinking. Because they place their beliefs to be the highest standard of knowledge, and they don't actually think about what is important. Namely, there's a set of phenomena in here which could have some possible impact on people's health, either mental or physical, if used intelligently, alright, as well as possibly human communication, and a few other things. But it is being downgraded to this weak, pathetic New Age religion, but also with the promise of miracles and signs and wonders, which are so reliable. It's just like me turning on this side light here, boom, I press the button, and hey presto, light comes out of it. That works. That's what the phrase "it works" means, okay? I can just press the button and I get the result straight away. That's what it means. Now, you cannot use that phrase at all if you've got a brain in your head with phenomena which do not provide the same variety of reliable result as me flicking the switch and turning the light on. This is why I heavily reject anybody and everybody who feels that they are some kind of person who should be listened to within what, occultism, the New Age world and the rest of it, if they fucking use that phrase. That is what I reject, and I reject that with brutal, violent passion.
You said, if this works, you should throw this out, that vocabulary out of the occult manual.
Correct.
Of practicing things. Personally, I understand how black magic works. I understand.
Okay. So where's your thesis then?
And where it actually comes from too.
Ooh. Okay, so you understand this. That's very interesting. Now, understanding it is one thing, but can you demonstrate it and prove it? I personally maintain that there's lots of things that we can't prove, but we can experience. But the process of going through experiencing these things takes a hell of a long time and an awful lot of hard work. And that's why, again, it's not worthwhile using the phrase, it works. But there are some strange experiences which occur. And these experiences say something about us as human beings because we have the capacity to experience them. And I think that's a much better explanation than anything that you could give.
But I don't sit here and go on the internet and dismiss it like...
I'm not dismissing it. I'm explaining it better than anyone else out there. That's what I'm doing.
Yeah. Actually acknowledge it. Because you should acknowledge it. And you should also not...
Why should I acknowledge something which is an unfalsifiable claim?
Acknowledge the fact that it does use you, whether you want to realize that or not, and I know you know that.
Oh, it uses me, does it? Oh, it uses me. Prove it.
Nick, so, yeah, they come on the internet and admit that you do black magic, but then...
No. I admitted I did something which provided me with some experiential information, which, therefore, and from which I could then extrapolate that certain forms of results could hypothetically occur under some strange circumstances, which are very difficult to actually define, but which I gave some kind of scant definition of based upon that particular experience. But to say that I'm a black magician, or that I do black magic, would be incorrect. I mean, just like what Richard Coughlin said, if you ever had a wank, then you're a wanker. Everyone's had a wank, for Christ's sakes. I mean, it's a bloody silly thing to say. I mean, I've done something once. Does that mean to say that I do black magic? Yes, he does black magic. Fuck off.
Dismiss it, even though you give a definition of it, or a generalization of it. I just think...
The very fact that I gave you that particular experience, which I've told you about, demonstrates that I do not and cannot dismiss it. By demonstration, and I should not have to explain myself and sit here and bloody make sure that you understand.
I think there's a lot of reasons why you're doing this, maybe because...
Yeah, because I want people to think. Thinking is important. Having a brain in your head is important. Learning a bit of self-distrust is important. Certain emotions that we've got which people in the New Age world don't like, such as guilt, remorse, these are actually important. And also, lack of self-belief or losing your self-belief so you can learn self-criticism is important for growing up and becoming a decent, well-integrated individual in society.
As I'm thinking now, maybe you want to not have anybody hurt themselves. But the thing is,
these people are being hurt because people everywhere within the New Age world say, oh, it works. Oh, it works. That's what's hurting them. Alright? It's the wrong use of language, and it lays down a precedent about the phenomena in question, which is incorrect. It is factually inaccurate because it is a reference to a style of result which is just as reliable as turning a light on and off just through flicking the switch. So the pain, so to speak, is being caused by all of you people out there who are using the phrase "it works" and not actually explaining the phenomenon properly. There's lots of people who've got minds of children, and unfortunately they, just like everybody else on the face of the planet, have the right of freedom of speech. But they certainly should not be in charge of the dialogue, and nor should they be in charge of trying to explain what the phenomenon in question is about and how it operates. Therefore, there has to be another voice on the internet, such as mine, to try and provide some perspective about it.
so if anybody's practicing magic, any type of form of magic, you should have an open mind. But
Yeah. An open mind does not mean a singular mind. An open mind does not mean there is a belief here, I will be open to whether that particular belief happens to be fact. An open mind is to say, this will probably not be fact, but I will experiment to see whether there could be some hypothetical value to that point of view. And from that, you can then look further than just that one myopic, namely short-sighted, point of view, okay, and try and develop a broader understanding of the way the world works. That is what being open-minded is about. To think, oh, I've had a strange experience, therefore this little one particular belief must be a fact, is actually to be closed-minded.
But don't have it to where you think you can control it, because you can't control black.
No. Now you're just getting me upset. Alright? Because if you can't control it, you cannot use the phrase "it works," can you?
Black magic.
So even your use of language actually contradicts the very phrase which I have been railing against since I started here on YouTube 3 years ago.
Once it starts, it's addiction. Some people.
Well, there's ways of breaking addiction. Obviously, I struggle with some of mine, but, you know, there's ways of breaking addiction. But the biggest and best way of breaking an addiction is to learn how to think in a different way. So you learn to use your brain and not your addiction. It's like you're just grabbing your belief and you're cuddling it like a little animal and trying to protect your little belief, rather than trying to even fulfill like this misrepresentation of Crowdian ideas and say that magic is a science, an art of changing conformity with the will, in which case you must actually have a massive body of explanation as to how to apply scientific reasoning and thought in great detail, and I mean great detail, to the phenomenon at hand. So if you're not even doing that, what are you doing? You're being a literalist, fundamentalist, religious believer, and therefore you're useless.
Gets addicted, and they start to use it more and more and more and more. The more they crave it, the more they want to learn about it. That's how.
No. I think what you're talking about there is you're talking about craving and all that kind of stuff. That's actually a form of mental disease in this particular case, isn't it? Alright, it's a psychological addiction. It's pathogenic. Alright, you're talking about a mental disease. So are you encouraging people to be like that? Are you encouraging people to actually develop some variety of pathogenic obsession? Because if that's the case, your interpretation or your ideas are, in my opinion, morally reprehensible, as well as being intellectually flawed.
Black magic works within this realm of understanding. It's more of an addiction, actually, I think it is.
Well, in your case, maybe. Alright, an addiction. So there's no reasoning involved, because addictions are not rational. Alright, there's no thought, there's no science. There's no desire to try and come closer to the truth. Your interpretation, if that is a common New Age interpretation, is the wrong one. Sorry. Well, actually, no, I'm not sorry. I'm just telling you, you're really being fucking stupid about this.
But to come on the internet though and then admit to all this, that you can do all this stuff, Nick.
What? To admit I can do all this stuff? No, what I've been talking about is having some strange experiences which I can then tell you about. And I can, for crying out loud sake, this is just me reiterating the same thing again and again and again. Okay, number one, there were strange experiences. Number two, some of which I've had. Number three, I will then tell you what they are. Number four, I cannot necessarily prove them, apart from to say that if you live a certain style of life and do certain styles of exercises in a certain way, you're more likely to try and get some forms of experiences which makes you think, ooh, that was interesting. And those little interesting experiences are outside of what the physical reductionist point of view would actually say is true. Therefore, experience can actually counteract or contradict some of the, physical world reductionist perspectives. This is basically what I have been saying. It's not a question of, oh, I can do this, I can walk on water, I am the great and powerful Nick Dutch, and blah. Oh, get real. Just listen to my arguments and think about where I'm coming from, and it's, oh, you can come on the internet and you can say you can do this, oh, come on.
And then deny it, that's
Oh, come on, if you do like my videos and you have been watching them, you know that I have not been denying it. I've been explaining it better than anybody else out there in the New Age world so far.
Behind me, man. I'm trying to figure out why, though, there's a lot of reasons.
Yeah, you're trying to figure out why because you can't think that it's actually worthwhile using good explanations. Alright, good explanations when you're dealing with a complex subject. Why would that be, do you think?
This is why you're doing that. But run on the internet and be like, well, this isn't, it's not really real.
I've never said that at all, and I think you know it. So don't misrepresent me.
Why are you debunking yourself? You're putting yourself...
No, I'm criticizing stupid ideas.
Down. Like, you're building yourself up and you put your...
No, I'm not building myself and I'm putting myself down. I'm actually trying to be analytical about the phenomenon in question, because I think that's important. Because if you don't do that, you're just another religious nutter.
Down is... I don't know. Maybe you don't want to hurt a lot of people, but then again, people who are practicing it should be old enough to realize the dangers involved with...
No, the dangers involved are people in the New Age world using stupid phrases such as "it works," which is not applicable to this particular variety of phenomenon. For crying out loud's sake, try and understand that.
Playing with magic to begin with. So it's not your fault if someone decides to play with black magic and, hurt themselves with it. It's not your...
No. The fault is the fault of people who are within the New Age movement who are perpetuating a certain understanding of the phenomena in question. These are the people I am criticizing, and they are unfortunately the majority within this particular community. And so I'm standing up against them in order to try and help them to be able to think in greater detail and depth.
Responsibility, honestly. It's not, because you don't have no control over them.
No, I don't. But if there are some other ideas within this inverted commas community, then essentially these people might actually learn to be able to think a little better, rather than just to be either terrified or just with this mind's numbed beliefs in something which doesn't actually necessarily provide them with the results that they want, and they carry on saying, oh, it works, it works, it works.
It's like you could talk about... I'm going to make an example, okay?
Oh, an example. That would be nice, wouldn't it? Yes.
It's like talking about drugs.
How much of them have you had today?
And, even though you don't sell drugs or don't, you talk about it, maybe, that might trigger something else in someone else's mind to do it, Like...
Or alternatively, you could have like a product that you're selling over the internet as one thing, which in fact does something completely different. You can missell a product. The New Age world is misselling their own ideas and the phenomena in question. Misselling, misrepresenting. Alright? It's bad. It's wrong. It's stupid. And it must be stopped somehow.
Kind of thing. But at the same time, you're not responsible. You know what I mean? It's like, you could talk.
No, we're all responsible. Every single one of us has some responsibility for not only our own lives, but also the ideas which we're putting out there, and the effects it has upon others. Can't you see that?
Talk about it. You could, don't do that, you know? You can, don't do it. It's bad for you. But, you know, once you get addicted to something, especially black magic, it's really hard to stop, because you want to take it all in. You want to, you know. I don't know, Nick. I just think you know what you're talking about, but yet.
Yes, I do know what I'm talking about. And I'm being critical of those who do not know what they're talking about, and they're just relying upon beliefs. Alright, this is the phenomena that we're talking about here could possibly be useful to humans understanding themselves and other people with the passage of time. There could actually be some very real long-term benefits to some of the consciousness-based phenomena in question, even those which are just psychological but which come out of like meditation and various forms of symbolical structure. They could all be useful somehow. And it's the New Age world which is destroying its value.
You want to debunk it so you don't make it look like you're losing your mind.
No, I want to talk to all those people who have lost their minds, and I want to stop them from losing their minds, and I want to bring them back on track. There's all kinds of would-be cult leaders out there who just want to make a fortune through selling lies. I want them to be criticized. I actually do, through my work on the telephone, quite a lot of what you might consider to be amateur cult exit counseling, because there's lots of people out there who just get, you know, too heavily drawn in to all the lies which are being told within the New Age world. This stuff has to be undone. I feel for these people. I feel for anybody who's in this in the New Age world, and they're basically just being torn to shreds. You know, there must be a better way.
I think, even though you do lose your mind when you do practice magic.
No, you can learn how to keep it. Honestly, it takes a bit of education and a bit of like thinking.
I lost my mind, actually. I gained it all back because of this.
Well, I actually doubt that very much, Lord Shadowfest. I doubt that very much. Especially if you're still using the phrase "it works" or saying that you understand where your black magic comes from.
Discipline, because of figuring things out on my own.
Which you haven't done. You've just developed beliefs.
What things really are within myself, and so that's how I coped. But before, yeah, I was in a period where it's insanity. You lose your mind.
You should really work at getting it back.
But see, the thing is, here's the trick. Okay, Nick, I'm gonna help you out a little bit here. Magic isn't.
He thinks he's gonna help me out. This is so hilarious.
Only solely in this realm. Okay, magic is in other realms, and if you can understand.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's a hypothetical, but it certainly is not what you might call an empirical fact. Another day which I shouldn't have even tried to give up smoking. Jeepers creepers. Let's get another roll up on the go.
And how the other realms work.
No, you can't know how the other realms work. That's another very stupid phrase, isn't it? I mean, we as a species don't even know fully how the ecosystem of the oceans work. How on earth is a human being who's just relying upon a handful of strange experiences supposed to know fully how all the other realms are supposed to work? We can't. We actually can't. You can believe that you can, but that is just a belief. And to try and sell that as if it were a fact is intellectually flawed. It's wrong. It is actually wrong. Can't you see that? It's just like someone saying that, you know, they believe that the the flying spaghetti monster exists, and going out telling everybody that the flying spaghetti monster is the real god and they should all worship the flying spaghetti monster, and dress in pirate regalia and go wow all the time. And that's a fact. That's a fact. You must do it. You must do it. You must do it. You must do it. Oh, bloody hell. What is wrong with you people?
This could be any belief system, really, honestly.
Yeah, belief. Belief is different, okay? I know there's different types of beliefs. It's a wide spectrum of different types of beliefs, but they're not hard facts, are they? Are they?
Then you understand the fabric of reality in this.
No, you don't. You don't understand it. You've got beliefs, okay? You've got beliefs. They are not facts. There is a difference. There really is a difference.
How this realm really is I don't want to say too much anymore. I'm going to go. I like your video. I just think you're debunking your own belief system. You're putting yourself...
No, I'm not. I'm thinking about phenomena. How can I be debunking a belief system if I've experienced something strange? I'm trying to understand it. I'm not debunking it. This is not an episode of Mythbusters.
Down for some reason. Maybe it's because you don't want other people to hurt themselves.
No, I don't want people to be hurt by people who are spouting out the same crap that you are.
But in actual reality, it's like, you're contradicting yourself. You're saying...
No, I'm not. There are people who think that because they can't put me into a little box, because unfortunately for them, I've actually got a brain in my head and I'm not afraid to use it.
That you have a definition of black magic.
Let's not go back over this, Chestnut. I mean, I'm going to stop this right now because I'm just getting so upset. Well, not really upset, just pissed off that there's so many people out there, including you, Lord Shadowfest, who couldn't think yourself out of a paper bag, and you rely upon your beliefs to be as standards of facts, which personally makes me feel sick to the stomach. And that's the kind of thing that makes all people within the occult world look like losers. And all those who do take that point of view, in my opinion, they are losers. And they should start growing up. If they're going to even use the Crowdian definition, which they've of course misrepresented, magic is the science and art of changing conformity with the will, then they must learn to apply in great detail and pinpoint accurate scientific depth, scientific reasoning to everything that they're talking about. This has been Nick Dutch, rather pissed off, signing out for now. Stay subscribed for more cool stuff.